Excuse me, we have some business to take care of. Okay. Ordinance to amend appropriations. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I will be bringing a motion for that, and I believe, is this a retroactive? It is. Retroactive to August 1st, and do I understand this correctly? The reason for that is the Hine Fund salary line items going back.
Yes.
And understandably, the budget was not set high enough for the Hine Fund, the appropriations, based on last year's, which as you recall, with all of the issues that we've had with that fund, you didn't have a very good history to work on for your budget for this year. And you had really no idea of how many hours were going to be needed, having street workers now doing work over there. There were a lot of question marks. So that budget was obviously not sufficient for what is happening now with salaries. Okay.
I haven't seen a budget. Where's the budget for the Heinz Fund?
The budget was passed in March. It had to be submitted to the county.
That's all we had. Who's got a copy of it?
You do.
Everybody.
It's in the minutes.
It's in the minutes.
If you remember,
It's the mandatory budget, Joe, that has to be submitted to the county in order that you don't use your local government funding. You know, it's part of the budget process leading up, and then that has to be submitted to the county before April 1st.
Yes. Okay.
if you remember when we set it at $6,000 for salaries because we really didn't know. So we said, well, let's just go with this. We need more. It's there. The funds are there to the Hine Fund. So we're just picking it up by $40,000. So that should get us through all.
So this will be sufficient for leaf removal and all of that, you think? Okay, so we need to really monitor this fund on the numbers each month and be sure, and this way we'll have a good history for next year.
For next year, we're going to set that budget.
Yes. Okay, we always had a little difficulty, but we ended up doing pretty well.
Oh,
Well, that fund
the
has
fund is in great shape. If you look at your numbers, your monthly numbers.
No, I don't see that stuff. You got it from Rebecca?
Oh, yeah.
The monthly numbers, yeah.
Oh, here, oh,
Right.
and here.
Right.
But, you know, Bob Ike used to get the monthly, or.
Yeah, investments.
The investment.
The investment.
No, and since
Who gets it? Did you get that?
Rebecca gets it.
Rebecca gets that.
Yeah, but we need that, next meeting.
Well,
Copies.
she sends them to him,
Oh, you
Once
got
she
it?
gets them,
Have you seen it?
and those have to be on file for audit as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the auditors will look at every one of those monthly receipts.
Have you seen anything? Oh, you have? Okay, yeah. I
But
used to
you
sit with
can-
Bob and we look at that, you know,
And you are welcome to see those, but you also will see those numbers reflected on here, on your monthly numbers, under your receipts.
Okay.
Okay, because everything is reported month to month. Okay, your receipts and your expenditures, both. Okay.
Can you say we're doing well?
Yes.
Yes.
We're doing very well.
Well,
right?
we've never seen this fund, well, I won't say never, it's not a good word. It's been a long time since we have seen this fund balance for the Hine Fund this good. But part of the reason for that is because we didn't spend much money last year.
Yeah.
Hine Fund balance at the end of July is $49,296. That's the Hine Fund.
Also, coming out of the recession a little bit, your interest is better there because those are private funds. They're not limited the way we're limited to public fund investment. So they're making a lot more money on their money than we can. Very intelligent of the people who set this up originally. They set it up as a private trust so they could maximize their investments. But it's being administered through the village, so they don't have the headache of administering it. That was a smart move, what they did. A little bit difficult to follow sometimes. And I'm seeing on here also this increase in appropriations for the street project, Nick. The street project that's reflected on here, $92,988.
Yes,
Okay, so.
that job is now finished.
Okay, so My question is this, okay, you're increasing your appropriations.
Yes.
This money, was my understanding, is coming from the STAR fund?
Star.
So have you already moved money from the STAR fund into the checking?
No, not yet.
So you need a motion?
Yes.
All right.
You got information today from Gary, right?
I did.
Yeah, because that job is not complete,
Okay.
and to finish the job, it should stay within the 92,000, yeah, yeah. Okay, you got a copy of it. Yeah.
There was an email from Paul
Yeah, that's
saying
it, yeah.
that there is no additional cost.
That's what I was told.
Yeah.
I asked right away, if you look at the back page here, you know, it says, that result in increase in project time, yeah, result in a dollar amount change, yeah. But it should be for all,
Right, we have to stay with that number.
correct, yeah.
And
Okay, anything
can I-
else, Linda?
Can I ask you about one more thing on this ordinance? There was something discussed at the last meeting, something for, is it streets that's gonna be needed? Mark, a trailer, something to do with,
I just have it here.
okay, does that need to be added to this appropriation amendment? Was it planned for in the budget, or can it be accommodated within the existing budget? Do we know how much?
1285, and the SCM&R fund at the end of July has $30,000 in it.
Okay, what did you say, $1,400?
1285. 13.
And you're looking at this to come out of street department? So you don't have sufficient unencumbered balance of appropriations.
Well, the fund balance is $30,000.
Yeah, but you don't have appropriations.
Right.
So
We have to raise that
do
one.
you want to include that on this ordinance?
I don't have anything yet, a PO issued yet
Yeah.
for this or anything.
You won't be able
I
to?
just got this tonight, so we
Okay.
would probably hold off until the following meeting. Is that
Or I
okay?
can write it in, if you want to write it in.
I know they need it, I was talking to Rich this morning.
Okay.
So just ready it.
You want to
Okay.
write it in?
Yeah, then add it in.
Okay, so we're going to do, you want to make that 13,000, 14,000?
Street light. I never saw that. We never got any quotes or anything.
Rush took care of it.
Yeah. Is this the best deal? You don't know. You think?
Rush takes good care of it, you know.
Yeah, I know this, yeah. But like on the fire department, you always want 3 quotes. Okay?
So if we write in 13,000, will that be enough?
1,300.
1,300.
1,300?
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
little
that's
trailer.
so much better.
Yeah, it's a little
Okay.
trailer for the.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry, I take it back then. I take it back.
Okay.
It's your supply line item.
We're good.
Oh, I thought you were saying 13,000. I heard that was amazing. Okay. Okay,
Okay.
we're good on that. Okay, that was my last question on the appropriation ordinance.
Okay.
You keep this guy honest. Okay, anything else? Resolution accepting the amount and rates as determined by the Budget Commission. That's straightforward, right?
Yes, now the only thing on that is, you have 3 meetings left before this is due to them. If you wanted to do 3 readings, we'd be risking that we don't have a quorum for any particular meeting, then we have to call a special meeting. Good to go with it tonight as an emergency?
Absolutely.
Did you want any review on this?
In what way?
As far as the Schedule A and B, are you good with it?
You want me as finance committee and look at it? 'Cause, I have to throw on your expertise on that.
Well, I did review it, and it looks all correct to me, because we have the 5.2 mills outside, which is our 3.2, and our 2 mill that was renewed last year, and the 1 mill police district. I believe the 3.2 may be up at the end of 14, we'll have to keep an eye on that one. And then, of course, the inside mills, which we have no say-so on, that's the Budget Commission, and that's at 2.40. So this all looks good to me. You've reviewed it, and you're good with it. They did send our total taxable value at this time at $57,593,000, which means that every mill is bringing in approximately 57.5.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
That was
So-
revised valuation.
Right.
Okay, okay, so well, stand, please. Pledge allegiance. Bill, for us. Pledge allegiance.
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Cassett.
Here.
Mrs. Donovan. Here. Attorney Limmer. Here. Mr. Major.
Here.
Mrs. Cerny.
Here.
Mrs. Yap.
Here.
All present.
Okay,
Motion
somebody
to
make
excuse the mayor.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Make a motion to excuse Police Chief Russ Beatty.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, acceptance of minutes to the previous council meeting.
Motion to accept the minutes of August the 6th as presented.
And waive the reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Notifications of meeting and events to the public in this meeting. Blooper. Nothing, that's nice. Finance.
Nothing right now.
Legislation.
Nothing.
Police.
Nothing.
Streets. We have nothing. ARB.
Thursday, September 5th, 7 p.m., Village Hall.
Planning.
We're going to meet tomorrow at 7 o'clock here. This is a change in our normal time. We voted to make this change permanent. Instead of the fourth Tuesday, now it will be the third Wednesday. Mayor should have announced this last.
We might have, I believe there was a resolution passed in January, February, some of those days, so we may have to pass the other one to change.
Okay.
Also, just for information purposes, the Historic Preservation Committee that is working under the auspices of the Planning Commission is going to meet on the 28th at 7 o'clock here.
Okay, Board of Zoning Appeals.
Nothing scheduled.
What's the Reserve Joint Fire District?
Nothing until next month.
Forest Board? Nothing. Pine Memorial? Nothing.
One more thing, I approved the use of the village hall for a meeting for the Yellow Creek Watershed Action Plan Committee. That meeting will be here September 24th at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Is anybody going to attend from our council?
Okay, report from Mayor. I don't have anything from Mayor. Okay. Report from the fiscal officer.
Okay, I'm gonna circulate around a list of bills to be paid this week. Number two, I'm circulating around bank reconciliation as of July 31st with the management reports that will need those signatures. I gave you copies of the July figures. All those line items should be at 58%. I actually looked through those, and the operating fund receipts are at least 58 or higher, and the operating fund expenditures are 58 or lower. So that's a good thing. We're getting in a little more than what we thought, and we're spending a little less than what we thought. So, we received the second and third advances of the second half real estate in the amount of $79,000, $71,000 for the general fund, of $8,000 for the, police fund. The appropriation ordinance amendments that were discussed. Line fund salary and related items. The general fund, we did not receive a bill last year for, leads. This year we got 2 bills. So I am transferring $2,000 from police supplies to police contraction. I went over this with Russ. We have about 15,000 that is still in that supply line item, and he said that that's okay. Obviously, if we have to go somewhere else for it farther down the road, we will. General fund council, we are going to decrease contractual and increase supplies. What we use that supply line item for is basically everything that we use here. Xerox paper, office supplies, and things like that. So that was getting a little low, so all we're doing is just moving there. The next item is the general fund, streets and highways. We are increasing that line item for $92,988 for the 2013 paving. State highway, we are going to increase contractual and decrease supplies in the amount of $2,400. There was a lady who hit the traffic signal on the corner of 224 and 170 last week. Totally knocked it down right in front of the name of the lady shop. The lady shop. Used to be, Cajel's. Yeah. So that got knocked down. $2,400 should get it back up. Russ is looking into filing against for insurance. And then the last thing is the Windermere Lighting District. We need to increase the county auditor deductions in the amount of $20. Just so we can make that line item work out. We received a notification from the county auditor that our 2014 local government funds will be $15,637, $8 over what we're getting this year. So don't spend it all in one month. Also, we received notification of the rate resolution from the county auditor. That has to be filed by October 1st. End of report.
Also, to accept the fiscal officer's report.
Second.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
I just said. I just asked.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, report from the zoning administrator. Dave.
Okay. All right. Got a message from David Turner from Ohio Edison today. He's their external affairs manager. He called to tell me that the ropes have been removed. We're talking about South Main Street where the pool had been hit. The 2 poles were actually tied off to the 2 trees that we were looking to remove. So now that the ropes are removed, we can remove the trees. Along that same line, I have sent letters to each of the 2 homeowners that are affected by these 2 trees. So that's where we are with that.
To the effect of what?
Say again, please.
What's the import of your letters to these owners?
It says that, that the village council has deemed that it's an imminent threat to public safety, that the 2 trees will be taken down with the initial cost being paid by the village, with the final cost being paid by the owner of the underlying property.
And you don't, and you say who that is?
I do not say who that is. We know through past precedents that we are the underlying owners of the 4 Riverside property, and we actually are not the owners of the underlying property at 413 South Main.
That's the bank building.
Correct.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, you know, if I could kind of jump in, because I've been checking on this a lot over the last time I've been here. And I find a lot of conflicting cases and a lot of conflicting thoughts on this. At one point, the case law I read said that the right-of-way, you know, is controlled by the governmental entity, and that we can take down trees and do what we want. Other cases I found have said now that it's the landowner's responsibility to take down the tree, with the village bearing the initial cost and then the landowner being charged the rest, given 30 days to pay it as in accordance with our statute. And then if not, then we can, you know, put a lien on the property or do their tax assessments. The case that I found, this is why before I went on vacation, I gave an opinion that said we should take the tree down. And Councilman Cassetta asked me a question about whether or not this ordinance is always in effect. It is 98% of the time. The only time that I found in reviewing all the cases where a governmental agency was held liable was when there was notice given to them of danger. Now this is kind of, it leads to a conclusion which I don't understand, because if there was notice of either constructive or actual, in other words, if we saw it, we did an analysis of it, which we did here, it was deemed to be a dangerous situation. We had a tree expert, you know, say the same thing. We're put on notice of it. If something would happen to someone, as happened to the car that drove by us one day and the trunk fell on it, the tree trunk, as a solicitor, as your counsel, I could not see how you would not be liable. Initially. Upon further reading of it, it gets broken down into so many different exceptions to that rule. Urban versus suburban versus rural roads. So if you have a road way out in the country, the landowner is deemed not to have any knowledge of anything. If you have a road here in town, it's much more evident that there may be some liability. But on the flip side of that, the cases say, well, if it was evident that there was a problem that the homeowner could have seen, then so could the driver. So there's no liability there. Yeah, at least a conclusion, which I'm trying to wrap my brain around. Even if the village would be liable, in my opinion, for being on notice, which is the only way we can be liable that I can find, we have governmental immunity. So we're not liable. So, you know, there is what is the responsible way to look at this, which is my way of protecting you in the village, which is if we know about it, we had a tree person go and take a look at it, I think we got to do something. Now, what does do something mean? Well, certainly taking it down will solve the problem, and then you can go after the homeowner and get the money. But my sense of fairness says, well, if the homeowner would take it upon themselves and find a better way or a cheaper way of doing it, you know, rather than what we find, because there's so many different estimates that different tree folks give. I mean, my mom just went through this. One person was going to charge $800 to cut a tree down, another person was going to charge $1,500, another person $2,500. There's not a lot of rhyme and reason. So I would almost rather give the homeowner the chance to take the tree down first, even though our ordinance doesn't say that. Our ordinance says we can take it down and then build them. But in being fair to them, I would say you have 30 days to take the tree down. If you don't do it in that time, or time specific, we will take the tree down, and then we will bill you for it in a second. Now, on furtherance of that, a long time ago we talked about that area on Riverside. And we said that, well, the village had a right of way, therefore we should take, I think we did take the tree down and pay for it. In talking to a judge who I happen to know downtown, I was just down there today, he had a couple cases that dealt with this, and he said, no, tell me, he says, the landowner is responsible, the village has a right of way, but at the end of the day, it's the landowner's responsibility to take it down. Even though that there is a right that you have to go and do what you want to do, you need to go and check the deeds to find out what the deeds say as to who actually owns the property. So I went down into the map room today, and I couldn't find anything in the plats that were made, you know, in the 1920s and then revised in 1983, that gave any exception to the landowners being responsible. Okay? Now, the only thing that could change that would be a title search that would be done to determine if there's an easement that we have or if we have some right that is attached to those deeds somewhere along the line. Now, I don't think that that's our burden to do that. I think it's the burden of the homeowner to show that they're not responsible because, and absent that because, then they are responsible. So to sum up a very long analysis and probably, you know, confusing dissertation about
No,
it,
that's very good, very good.
they're responsible.
Yeah.
They have to pay for it. And if they don't, in my opinion, you give them a reasonable amount of time, because we are on notice about this thing right now. That makes me a little bit nervous. But they have to pay for it. And if they don't, then we take it down, and then we can charge them as our ordinance allows.
Now, Anthony, let me say this. The last time that there was a tree issue at 4 Riverside, the homeowners had an attorney send us a letter. So I believe that they did the due diligence and found that we owned that property.
I want to see that.
Okay,
Yeah.
stick with me here.
Yeah.
At that time, you were the
I
solicitor,
know.
and you decided that it was our responsibility and that we did take it down and pay for it. So did we set a past precedent
No.
by doing that?
No, and the other thing that Councilman Cassett was worried about, and I do want to see why I gave that opinion. I'm hoping, I think, that there was some form of easement that we had that gave us the responsibility. I want to see that to review that. But as far as precedent goes, each case is so different from every other case. The only way we're responsible as we sit here is if we go out and look at every right-of-way, and I started looking actually, that's what I do now, every right-of-way in town and see if there's a tree on it, number one, which trees aren't on all of them. A lot of trees are in people's yards, most of them. Some are in right-of-ways, but even at that, is the tree damaged? Has it been certified to be a danger? You know, we don't know most of these trees. We went out of our way to protect the community and to find this out because of what happened, because it was brought to us, and luckily no one did get hurt with it. It was just a car. So each case is analyzed within its own context. First of all, is it urban or rural, which we know they're all suburban here. Secondly, is it on a right-of-way or is it on someone's land? Thirdly, if so, who owns the property? Fourthly, depending upon who owns the property, are there any easements or right-of-ways that give some other entity responsibility other than us? Some of the cases I found said that the state of Ohio would be on notice and be responsible in certain cases if the tree overhung a public roadway. Now, I talked to Russ about that. He said all of our state roads fall within our village, so therefore they're our responsibility. The only way that the village, that I read, the only responsibility statutorily we have is to keep our roadways safe and clear. That usually means that a tree fell and we took it out of the way. And I found a couple cases on that where trees were overhanging and they fell on the roadway and they hit a car. And the courts found that, well, because they were not in the roadway for a time, then the village had no responsibility to remove the tree. And therefore they weren't responsible. And these are people that got maimed, you know, and really hurt. So the only responsibility we have that I see is if a tree falls in the road, to clear the road. Our ordinance says we clear trees that they may overhang the road or they may fall on the road. And that's the responsibility of the homeowner. So absent what I'm assuming Poor Riverside must have, which is some kind of easement that we have, or something that takes away their responsibility, the homeowner is responsible for clearing and maintaining their trees and shrubbery and whatnot.
Very good. Okay. We paid for that tree that was on that property before, in the right of way. Now, there's another tree adjacent to the one we're working on. Now, Chris, you said that's our property, our tree.
No, ours follows the one on Riverside.
Yeah,
That we have the president's wood, the
Yeah.
tree that we took down. The other one is next to it, that
Correct.
would be South Main Street.
yeah.
That it abuts.
But the two trees are
You're right
standing
next to one
side by
another.
side.
One is the property owner's.
That's why I was against it last
The
time.
other one is ours.
Why, we gotta be consistent there. If we say everybody is responsible for those trees, but you said that's our tree, that we take it down. No, that don't make sense to me. That's why I was against it. Follow
It's
me?
village property though. Is it village property? I wasn't here last
What do you
week.
mean village property?
It was deemed,
But there's a
when
difference
did we
between
take
village
that tree
property
down?
and right
2
of
years
way.
ago?
How so?
Huge.
Tell me.
Right of way, all that is that gives the government entity the ability to do certain things
Yeah, when-
on a property owner's lot in a certain area, but that doesn't make it our property. That just gives us utilities the rights to go in and put in things for the good of the
Correct.
good of the
Yeah, I
community.
understand that.
Now, let's say like up along Sheridan Road, there's a huge amount of property that the village actually owns that's on each side of the road.
Sure, yeah,
That's
okay.
our property. We own it. We have deed
Oh,
to
yeah.
it.
Okay.
Okay, this other property in Riverside,
We don't, then, I mean, we've taken down one tree because it was deemed that was our property.
That was a
it's our
mistake.
property.
I don't know that.
We don't know
If
that.
the property is deeded to us, then we own the
Yeah.
property and
Yeah.
we're responsible.
That's why there's no precedent, because each plot or plat in the village of Poland is different. Each piece of land is different as far as who owns it, what easements, what right of ways. Ohio Edison may have right of ways on certain things, that give them responsibility. They may be responsible for it. So there's no precedent because each case is so different, and each plot is different, and each where the tree sits is different. So I don't worry at all about us doing one thing on one piece of property, and maybe right next door is something different. That's very possible.
Well, now, the letter that you wrote, does that conflict with what you wrote? Just repeat what you said in that letter, please.
The village of Poland has deemed that it's specific to one homeowner. It says, "Dear homeowner." The
This
village
is
of
the
Poland.
this is the big house?
I sent the same letter to both people, so it is a generic letter. It says, "Dear homeowner, the village of Poland has deemed that your tree is an imminent danger to public safety. The trees will be taken down as soon as possible by Bezetta Tree Service, with the village paying the initial fee to expedite the process. The final responsibility for payment will be with the owner of the underlying property."
Okay, but you didn't give him 30 days to
No.
take it down himself.
No,
That's what.
absolutely.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I don't understand about our ordinance, in that it conflicts a little bit with what I understand most governmental actions require, which is some degree of allowing the homeowner to do the right thing. Like when we demand people clean up their yards or cut their grass or do whatever, there's always, you have an amount of time to remedy the situation, and if not, then we go and do something. This is flipped. We do it, and then we'll bill you for it, within 5 days after we do it. So even though we sent that, and we're not bound to do anything, but I would say to them, if you want to find someone that you can do it and it's taken down within, however long you want to deem as a council, I think that protects us a little bit from imposing something upon someone. Because look at it this way, in most right-of-ways give us the ability to go in and take things off people. That's what they're designed for, because of the rights of the village and the welfare of the village requires us to do something that infringes upon the rights of the homeowner. This is different. This is where we're saying to someone, we're not infringing upon any of your rights. We're demanding that you pay for something that we deemed, just one person has deemed it basically, to be a danger. Well, what if we're wrong, or what if, it's not, like, there's a lot of buts to it that if I'm a homeowner, look at it from their perspective for a minute, Well, that tree's been there for 50 years and never fallen, and that, we think it's fine, and we have an expert that says it's okay. What rights do they have to contest it? Well, we've already cut it down. And a lot of the cases I read dealt with that entities went in and started cutting things down, and they were found to be wrong, and then they had to compensate the homeowners for the value of what they did. You know, cutting down 50-year oaks and paying thousands of dollars for them. Because once that tree's gone, it's gone. You know, so most of these things are looked at the opposite way we're looking. We're using it to make someone do something, rather than not to take something off of them, which is just different for me to and I always had a problem with it. I always had a problem with this type of, you know.
I just want to make note, several years ago, I was tree commissioner, and we had a tree that was on Nesbitt Street, and we went through pretty much identically the same thing there. It was properties on the right of way, it did, you know, but it was on the property owner's property. And I sent them a letter exactly as you suggested. You got 30 days to take it down. And there was a considerable battle over it, considering the person that it was too. And ultimately, we won out. They took the tree down, and
They paid for it, right?
they paid for
their
it.
own person.
They got their own. They got their own person. They fought it first. They're trying to say that it was our responsibility, and we vehemently said no. It's yours. It's your property. And ultimately, it took a little longer than 30 days, but eventually they took it down at their expense.
And I want to see why I had that opinion. I'm sure they're going to give it to us again when they get the letter. But I want to see what it was that you know, there's got to be an exception, because I think otherwise, I think they'd be like to take it down.
Who is to say, who is it up to say that the tree should be taken down? No, me, right now.
Oh, no, you right now. Yeah.
So, I had the Zeta tree come over, and look at the tree, decide whether, number one, it should be cut down, number two, it should be trimmed, and number three, it should be left as in. Then, I presented that this man, then, as a matter of fact, I have one that, I'm still not sure, whose property, whether it's village or private property, but I'll find out tomorrow. But to go ahead and say, cut down that tree and take a chance on irritating the guy, cut down the wrong tree or something like that, it shouldn't be done until you absolutely find out that the tree needs to be cut down. And also, the way that I have no idea whether the cases that have come up, whether the people went to the man who sent the tree company and had him cut it down. I have no idea. I don't want to know. It's not my business. If it's on village property, then it's council business.
Yeah, I thought if I remember, I'm trying to remember, I think they gave us something saying that we own that property. And then I remember thinking about it, because then they planted a tree on it a little bit later. When we own it, why are you planting trees on it? We could have ripped it down, but that wouldn't have been the right thing, because it was a tree, stuff. But if I remember correctly, it was our property, and then I was surprised that they went ahead and planted a tree anyway. So, but I'm sure we'll get that from them again, and then we'll look at it.
Well, didn't they take out the stump coat too?
They did. Yeah, we cut it down and took the
They
stuff
took
out.
the, and then planted the tree.
Yeah.
No, my fear is that in this period of waiting and not knowing, that someone does get hurt. You know, one of these two trees has already fallen on a car. The other of the two trees, a bough fell that was larger than most trees. So these two particular trees are no more than 10 feet apart. They've already demonstrated an ability to injure someone. We also have these mitigating circumstances of a truck damaging the light pole, a new pole being put in immediately between them, where the ground was taken out and now it's filled with gravel. Directly behind it, 10 to 15 feet behind it, a trench was dug at least 5 feet deep by Aqua, Ohio. There are all these mitigating circumstances that I just think are above and beyond, to the point where it is the responsibility of the village to take these down and worry about the dollars later. I don't think it's,
And I know how you feel, and that's why, in part why I gave that opinion, because I know you have a very responsible, gentlemen doing these jobs, and that's, it can be good government, is that you care more about the people and safety than you do about the money. And I think you'd be justified in taking it down and building. I think you would. And if in this case pushes the fact pattern as much as you want to push it, to give us a reason to do it. And our ordinance allows it. So, if you really want, if you want to give them a short amount of time to do this, maybe a week, I don't think you'd be out of line. Because I think if I'm looking at it, I look at it from a risk assessment. Did the village do what they could have done to protect the community? And I think you have. You got an assessment of it. You notified the homeowners of it, and you put them on notice to do it. I think we've taken steps. And remember, we are immune from these things anyway, unless we go out of the way to hurt someone. So I think we're okay legally. But you are asking more of the village than most. You're asking more of the village than is required, is what it comes down to.
Anthony, how in this situation or any other like it, would you make a determination of how many days you give them when you have a company that's telling you it's a dangerous tree? What you just discussed is exactly what fueled our reasoning in doing what we did at the last meeting. We have a highly pedestrian area right there. We have children who ride bikes under those trees all the time. And it's not the first incident where something came down off that tree and fell on a car. It was one before that.
And that's one of the highest volume areas in the village of Pullman for foot traffic, for vehicle traffic, all that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, if you're asking me for an amount of time, this would be the least amount of time that I would give someone. And, part of me is with Dave that I want it done tomorrow.
I do too.
For future precedent, I can't really give you it's hard to say. Is a tree out remote somewhere where like going down Audubon or somewhere where not a lot of people go? All I can say is the sooner the better with this. But in fairness to the homeowners, maybe you talk to them in a day or just say, listen, you got the letter, what are your intentions? If they say, we're not doing it, then you go cut it down and we fight them later. If they say, yes, but can I get someone, all right, you got 3 days, or you got a week, something like that.
Okay.
Where if you get their initial response, which is, yes, but give me a time, then you have a little bit of time. If it's no, it's not ours, let's go cut it down and then we'll fight it out later.
well, let me say this, I have talked to both homeowners multiple times. The family on Four Riverside still believes that it's our property because of what has happened in the past. They fully expect it to be cut down by us and paid for by us. The property owner at 413 South Main feels that the situation has been caused by the utilities and plans to seek damages from the utility companies. In other words, he is not interested in removing the tree on his own.
I mean, what damages?
Well, it was his opinion on the phone that the situation that has arisen is because of what happened with the Ohio Edison pole and the Aqua Ohio trenching. Okay? So that's his opinion. That's his opinion.
Ohio Edison is going to know if they have a right of way in there. Because they're the only people I think would be responsible other than us in the state of Ohio. So I'm going to call Ohio Edison tomorrow and say, this is what the homeowner is saying. We're not going to wait a long time for this to be taken down. We're going to take it down. Do you want to take it down with your own folks? Or do you want us to take it down and then we're going to go after the homeowner who's going to go after you and we don't know how much money that's going to be?
I'll give you the name, David Turner from Ohio Edison. He's their external relations manager.
Do you have his number?
I do in the trouble.
Okay. Just text it to me. I'll call him tomorrow.
That'll be fine. He lives in Bolton Township, so he is fully aware of the situation.
Then I think, that being said, I think you go forward on both of them and then we'll fight about it after that.
So if help me understand what you're saying about, you want me to call both homeowners and say, what is your intention?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And then,
Call me tomorrow. I'll call Turner and I'll say, this is where we are. He's the homeowner saying no. They'll know if they have a right of way without me doing a title search, because that would be $2,500 just to do that, to find out who has a right of way. They'll know. And they have people that they contract with all the time. They can have it done in a week, if not less. And if they say, no, we don't own it, we're not responsible, then I'll say, okay, we'll do it. We'll go after the homeowner, so then we'll sue you for damages.
That seems to be the 413 South Main, that seems to be his direction.
I think Attorney Bolton was a homeowner on Riverside Street or something. He had a deed or something, we'll check on that. But I think, you know, I think you take it down and then you bill them.
The only problem is, what if his brother's, has a tree service? How can we do that? We need to give him the.
You don't according to your ordinance, I agree with you, you know?
No, the ordinance says something.
Yeah, but, you know, that's where you have to make that decision as a council. I told you what the risks are, what your rights are, and what you can do. That's just about how you feel.
I think you can get a hold of Bezetta and say, when can you come out?
Well, they have already been put on notice.
Well, how many days notice does he need?
Bezetta Tree Service has already been put on notice. We were already in their system. In other words, they're working through their system, their backlog, to get to us.
Well, I think what you need to do is talk to Dave first and say, if I say go, when will you do this? Then you call the homeowners and say, what's your intention? Because we're gonna have people out there in 5 days.
Okay.
Whatever Bezetta says. And that's the driving factor.
Very good. However, we did take a tree down on the property before, and why would you determine to approve of?
We made a mistake.
I know,
Yeah.
okay, we just gotta, hey, too bad, we made a
Consistency is
mistake.
how about on the small minds? That's Emerson said that. So,
Okay, yeah,
we can deal with a different circumstance. We have different facts.
good.
And if I was wrong, in my opinion, wouldn't be the first time. But I'll go back and see why I gave that opinion. I bet I had a reason, but usually I do. But I'll look at it and then I'll give you another opinion, you know, either I was right or I was wrong.
Very good. We had a good discussion. Okay, Dave?
Motion to accept the zoning.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, report from the chief of police. Solicitor.
The only other thing I had,
You got it.
that was mostly it. I had just two more things real quick.
Oh, okay.
There was a request by Sue Metzler for a group that's intending to buy Walgreens maybe? Inland Private Capital Corporation. We are writing about a prospective purchase of the above referenced property, Walgreens. And they want from us a letter about the zoning, what it's zoned, you know, that we are deemed to have done it, if there are any zoning violations that they have. And when I first got the request from Paul, I said no, I didn't understand what it was. Now I've read it, I do. I don't think that they're, and I saw Mr. Limber had a concern about it as well.
I don't feel as though that's their job, and I don't think we should be in a sense of pining as to whether Walgreens is in compliance with the zoning. They should go to Walgreens and ask them. I don't think we should be on the hook at all.
I don't think we have to.
I don't think we should at all.
They should be aware that there are a lot of special circumstances in the
Well,
agreement.
that's
between the board
Walgreens'
and
problem.
zone- Right.
Walgreens has to tell them what they
Yeah.
deal with.
I think they were doing their due diligence to try to figure this out, but either way,
Is it a public records request?
no,
Oh, no, absolutely not.
no, it's a request for zoning verification, and they don't phrase it as a public records request. If they did, I might have to be under a different set of directives, but as of right now, it's just a request from a legal assistant. She'll give it to the lawyer, they'll say make a public records request maybe, and then I'll have to do it, but as of right now, I don't. Follow up on that. And then the final thing was Paul asked me about getting rid of the old bad debt that fines and costs were owed by different folks from years and years and years ago. Governor Casey just signed a new bill that allows it to be written off. The only thing is, it says if the court allows it, and we're not a court, so we cannot do that here. It has to be Judge Lanzo who would say that you can write off these debts. So I'm going to tell Paula that if she wants to get them together and give them to Judge Lanzo to say you can write them off, then she can if council wishes her to. How's that?
Okay, now we can ask if,
Motion to accept.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Report from the chief of police. Anybody got a report from him? Okay, report from the street commissioner, same thing. Report from the engineer. I have nothing except that the 5 streets got paved, good job, and there's some remedial work that's gotta be done on driveways and things like that. And Nick's got a copy of that. Okay, report from outstanding committees. Finance, wage, audit, and insurance.
Okay, I did want to report to you that I got a call from National Healthcare, from Lori, that always takes care of our account. They're going to be conducting seminars for the changes in healthcare laws, which we will be affected by the change. And so I will be trying to get some of that information in advance to review it so that when finance sits down with her, we'll have a pretty good grip on what to expect in next year's budget in regards to the healthcare changes. Everybody's aware of the laws changing, and it will definitely affect us. She and I have talked about a couple things, maybe how we can postpone the impact a little bit by maybe re-signing our contract in December instead of waiting, which would help give us a little time to prepare for this. But we'll find out more specifically what has to be done. And you know, perhaps by, we had talked about maybe a meeting in September for finance. Maybe what we'll do is postpone that to October, and hopefully we'll have a seminar by that time, and we can discuss that. And then, are you ready to move, Nick, on the Star Plus information that you got?
I received all that information,
Okay.
so whenever you decide.
Okay, so then we can handle both of those things at the meeting at the same time. I think it's a really good thing from what I've seen of it. 100% FDIC, it's a better account in respect to the amount of interest that we can gain on our investments. One little thing that I didn't like was less liquidity as far as how many times you can withdraw, but did I see once a month?
I think it's weekly, I mean, it's gotta be at least a week. So we
In
won't-
between?
Yeah. we won't be
Okay,
able to
so
get it
even
like the
so,
following day.
that's not liquidity that hurts us at all.
No.
So to me, I think it's a positive, but I'd like you guys to hear the information too. So if you could look at your schedules and try to come up with something for October that works. If you want to do it before a council meeting, if that works better for you, Mark, however.
Just let me know and I'll see what I have.
Okay, that's it for finance.
Motion to approve the finance report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Legislation and policy.
Yeah,
Just one thought, we're gonna check with Paul on that, getting that ordinance for the
Oh,
next
yeah.
meeting, implement the new ordinance book.
all the, that packet of paper that was handed out, we have an ordinance to make sure it's done into the book, so.
I live in the old ones.
Throw them out.
Okay, Joe, anything else? That's it? Okay, motion to accept those.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Police and fire?
Joe and I attended the fire district meeting this past Wednesday at the new addition on the station out on 170. Everyone get out and take a look, it's beautiful, did a nice job, it's very nice. And they will be conducting an open house on Sunday, September 29th. It's in the afternoon, I'm not exactly sure what time it is. But take a look at it, it's very nice, they did a good job. 92?
Yeah.
Do you remember what time the open house
No,
was?
no, I didn't know. if
They
they-
changed the date, and now it's
Yeah.
Sunday, September
I
29th.
don't know. It's beautiful.
Motion to approve the report.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Street sidewalks and drainage. Well, the roads, the 5 streets have been paved, like I said, and everything is okay, except some work on driveways and things like that. I have nothing else. I talked to Gary today, there's nothing in the pipeline. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Okay. Buildings, lands, utilities, parks, and recreation.
We met tonight and discussed some electrical issues that we need to address. In the gazebo, you're ready for the holiday lighting program, and also we discussed making corrections to the electrical system over here used by Celebrate Poland, and Celebrate Poland did say that they would pay for any corrections that need to be made.
Okay, Bill, the fellows on the street department mentioned that everybody's setting up, this is, I'm talking about the farmer's market, in the same place, and they're killing the lawn and so forth. So, I think you're the fellow
Move around,
that, can you have them move around? Maybe, I don't know, someplace, because there was some new grass planted out here and that's all gone now. And if they could do that, it would help. Would you do that, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could I add this? I don't really know which committee this falls under. Dave had mentioned to me that he's had a lot of calls from people asking about our recycle and what's going on with the village recycle, that they're not picking up our recycle bins. So I called, tried calling Allied Waste. Long phone calls, anybody who's out there that knows, half-hour waits and they disconnect you.
Yes.
So I decided to call the county recycle program and see if they could give us any kind of input on it. Okay, I spoke with Mr. Lou Vega, who took Patucci's position, I believe, okay? He said that what they've actually had is the perfect storm, because it started with the labor issues, okay, and the unions and all of that, and them getting that resolved. They have a shortage of workers. They just hired 9 new drivers who are in the process, they have to be with other people for 90 days before they can drive alone. So they're being trained and they're close to being finished with that. And the traffic issues on top of everything else. So they said, please be patient. They are trying very hard. You guys probably have millions of people ask you on phone calls at home. I know I've had several people call and want to know what's going on with it. But they said it should be approximately 2 more weeks. 2 to 3 more weeks, and we should start to see something better. And at first we thought it was just our street. I started looking around and realizing, oh, it's not just our street, it's everywhere in Poland. And I don't know if the township is having this situation, but I'm assuming so. I think the whole area is having it. So they are working on it and they are trying. And just to give you a heads up on.
Linda, did they pick up your recyclables?
They did once, and how many?
Yeah, I called too, and they picked them all up on Monday.
Yeah, they did this last time for
Yeah.
us. Oh, it's sad one. And everybody was trying to.
Sad out there, I know, yeah.
So, anyway, that's where we're at.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, what else we got? I guess that's it, huh? Planning? Wait a minute. Boards. Okay, we'll go to boards now. Planning Commission, Bill? Anything? Okay. What is zoning appeals, Bob?
Nothing, but I don't know whether this applies, but I'm going to request an executive meeting after this meeting to discuss possible litigation.
Okay. Architecture Review Board,
Nothing.
Forest Board, nothing. We're gonna get a budget together, so I understand what's going on, okay? You showed me. Oh, yes, the Heinz Fund, sure, that's the next one, yeah, Heinz Fund. And what's in Reserve Joint Fire District? Chris, you told him, take a look at the new station. Tim Clavin, by the way, he's on our street department. He's a captain out there. Yep. Okay, report from special committees. communications from residents. Somebody out there got a question?
Scratching my head, sorry.
Nothing?
No.
New business? Nothing. Old business? Okay, Jeff, we doing okay?
So far, so good.
Motion, ordinance, and resolutions.
Motion to waive the 3 readings and pass by emergency a resolution to accept amounts and rates.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Second.
Bill?
Mr. Cassett?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Attorney Limmer?
Yes.
Mr. Major? Mrs. Cerny?
Yes.
Mrs. Yaki?
Yes.
Okay, and I would like to,
I have seen that.
Now we're gonna move it, yeah.
a motion to move the resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor and to declare an emergency.
Second.
Roll
Mr.
call.
Cassett? Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Attorney Limmer?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yes.
Mrs. Cerny?
Yes?
Mrs. Yaki?
Yes.
6-0.
Motion to waive the 3 readings on an ordinance to amend appropriations.
Second.
All in favor?
No, hold on one second.
Oh, roll call on this one too?
Yeah.
Who made the second? I'm sorry.
I did.
Thank you. Mr. Cassett?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Attorney Limmer?
Yes.
Mr. Major?
Yep.
Mrs. Cerny?
Yes.
Mrs. Yaki?
Yes.
A motion to move the ordinance amending ordinance number 1429-13, permanent appropriations, retroactive to August 1st, 2013, and to declare an emergency.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Cassett?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Attorney Limmer?
Yes.
Mr. Major? Mrs. Cerny?
Yes?
Mrs. Yaki?
Yes.
6-0.
Motion to, are you ready? Am I talking too fast?
Oh, he's got
Are
this.
you ready? He's good, okay. A motion to transfer $92,988 from the Star General Fund account to the checking account for 2013's paving project.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor on this one? Okay.
Yes.
What's
Opposed?
opposed? Oh, unanimous. Anything else? Lynn?
That's it for me.
Bills? Bills? Thank you, Mr.
We have no other motions and ordinances or anything?
Yeah.
Okay, Chris. it's up
Make a
to you.
motion to
Well-
pay the bills?
Go ahead.
Okay, wait, you're right, no, you're right.
Second.
Make a motion that we suspend the order today and go to executive
Yeah,
session.
we'll do
To
it.
discuss, oh, I thought we.
Let's do that.
You're gonna pay the bills.
Pay the bills.
We do the bills.
Questions and then.
Okay, go along.
No. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Oh, any questions from the news media? Nothing? Anybody got a, oh, are you from the news? Okay,
Do I have to ask it in front
your
of me?
name? Yes.
Oh, okay. It's Kaylee Vaughn from Medicare. I just was going to ask questions about ODOT, about them coming today, about.
You gotta speak a little louder.
Okay, I was going to ask questions about ODOT, about them being here today, and about what they presented and how that made the board feel. Basically, since they did say they were going to accelerate the project and speed it up to kind of reduce the traffic in Poland, that was my question.
Well, I suggest you call them if you want the details.
She wants to discuss it with you afterwards, probably.
Oh,
Maybe
well, you
after.
don't want the
Yes,
details.
that's-
She would rather do that after the meeting, talk to
Oh,
them.
okay, after the meeting. You were here, right?
Yes.
You heard what he said.
I want to find out how you feel about it.
Oh, how I feel about it.
Let's move on from that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Linda?
None.
Bob?
I'm nothing.
Chris?
Nothing.
Mark?
Nothing.
Bill? Okay, that's council. Anthony, you got anything?
I'm spent.
Dave, you got anything?
I'm alive.
Okay, Bob.
Now you're
fire away.
Okay, thank you. Motion we suspend the order of the day to go into executive session for possible litigation.
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Mr. Bissett?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Attorney Limmer?
Yes.
Mr. Major? Mrs. Cerny?
Yes?
Mrs. Yash?
Yes.
8:26.
So you